Thanks, Darren. Hi, everyone. My name's Tanya. So it's already been said, I'm training to be a computing teacher, which is so exciting but slightly terrifying. And before that, I worked at Hearts for a while. So, in case you don't know, Hearts have an incredible range of community programs. But I worked specifically at the Innovation Centre, which provides free digital education to young people in the area in primary and secondary school. So our focus there was showing kids real examples of how technology was used in every aspect of their life. Particularly, we started off with a focus of technology in sport and football from the point of view of the data that we collect on our players to help us make decisions about where they should be on the pitch or their fitness routine, and then looking at other things like goal line technology and other examples. And it was absolutely fantastic, but we've learned so much from that. So I've pulled together, I guess, my four main points of what I've learned from that role and from running code clubs for the past 5 years. It's always been a challenge to get girls not just to come along, but to continue, like stay. So like one example I have is we used to run a regular drop-in session at Hearts for the kids who were super motivated and wanted to keep coding. So they were always really enthusiastic, but whenever someone joined for the first time, it was maybe slightly more intimidating. And we had this one girl who joined, and like she was so anxious. She had no confidence in her abilities when she was perfectly good at programming. And she only stayed a couple of weeks and then she left. So we knew at that point we needed to do more to build the girls' confidence, but also keep them coming along to the clubs. Um, so the first thing we've done that I think has been really good is role models. I think everybody tonight has mentioned that, which is brilliant. But not just examples of, you know, people like Ada Lovelace, but also leaders in Scotland. A lot of the kids we speak to think they have to move away from Scotland to work in technology. And there's such an amazing sector here. So showing them leaders in Scotland, if you're struggling for examples, brilliant websites like Scotland Women in Technology, run by an amazing group of ladies, STEM ambassadors, video game ambassadors. There are so many like sources out there that have loads of people who work in industry who are always more than happy to help out. But also the examples that you give in lessons. So we've been running a games club recently about video games, and I'm always very cautious about the examples we give that aren't just made by men, like video games made by men, but showing a wide, diverse range of developers, people who design the games, people who write the scripts for the games, and showing them that it is wider than they think. And I always kind of come back to that quote of you can't be what you can't see, which I think we could argue about for ages, but at the heart of it, I guess, if you see someone who looks like you or has come from a similar background, it kind of reinforces that yes, you can go and do that. That has been done by someone, so it is in with your reach. The second thing is confidence building. Again, their abilities in coding or using tech are always absolutely fine, but a lot of our girls especially have such a low confidence in themselves. So I always try and encourage everyone to reflect on everything, like from week 1 of joining to even week 4, and see what have you learned in that time, because I guarantee they've learned something new every single week. And giving that space to make mistakes and normalizing that making a mistake is absolutely okay. The first time you get an error message when you're programming can be kind of really scary for young people. You get red writing on the screen and it's kind of off-putting. So we talk about how debugging and making mistakes is actually a good thing, because the more you debug your code, you're getting to know it, and you kind of, you know, get to know your code and what's happening behind the scenes, which I think helps in the long term. I like to also make time for the kids to like be the expert. So we ran an app club last year, where the kids were working together in teams to build an app that solves a problem in the world. And I had this group of kids and they were so enthusiastic about climate change. They knew so much. It was incredible. And they knew more than me. Like, I admitted that from day one. But because they were building an app but based on their interests, they were so excited. They were coming at the start of each session and telling us fun facts. I had this one girl who would come every week and tell me the research she'd been doing outside of the club. And it was incredible to see her motivation. So not just like about the coding, but the overall how she could use technology to do something good and link it in with her own interests. Um, the third one on there is ask three before me. And I think that is my favorite phrase right now, because it means that I usually don't have to repeat myself quite as much. I found this in a book called Coding Equity by someone called Tara Linney. She has some amazing tips in there about closing the gender balance. And basically, the idea is that they have to ask three other people in the room that is not me before they come and ask me a question. So whether that's something's wrong with my code, what do I do? They have to ask three other people in the room. And that's really nice because it's getting them speaking to each other and supporting each other. They're sharing their knowledge, which makes them also feel like an expert and builds their own confidence. And they get to lead their learning to an extent as well, which they always seem to be really proud of, which is amazing. And then the final one I've got there is leading the way. So things like having a show and tell at the end of a session, like asking if anybody would like to share what they've been working on, come to the front or share their screen, as we've been doing mostly recently. And it's amazing. It's so empowering to give them that chance to come on and say, this is what I've done. I've built this. And everyone gets stuck in and plays the game they've made or whatever they've done and gives them feedback. Mentoring, I absolutely love getting some of our older students to come back to the code club and mentor the younger ones. There's a smaller age gap, so they're like almost automatically cooler than me, which is a little disappointing. But they just bond so easily with the younger ones, and it gives them also someone to look up to say, I want to be like them, which I think has been mentioned a lot tonight as well. And then the last bullet point I've got there is just the positive attitude, like reinforcing that you may not know how to do something right now, but hopefully by the end of this session you will, or you'll be on your way to learning it. I have so many kids that come along to our code clubs that parents have signed them up and they're kind of just put there, and they come in and they're like, nah, coding's rubbish. I can't do coding. I hate it. And then you just need to tap into, okay, you might think that, but let's look at it and break it down. And usually by the end of the session, they're so excited to show you what they've made, and it can be the smallest of things they've done, but it's incredible just to get that excitement from them, and then showing that, you know, if they keep that attitude going the whole way, they'll build something bigger and better next week. But yeah, I know I'm not a school teacher yet, but I imagine there are some crossovers between a code club environment and also like school lessons, so hopefully there is something useful there. I know a lot of it has already been said, but yeah, thank you so much for having me along.